Where did you come from?
All right. We are live.
Hello, everyone.
Just put the cartoon back on.
Yeah, that was good.
Keep it going.
How many episodes were there? 6? Or is it just a
the
pilot?
one. It was just the one,
Oh.
right? I did see that there's a Blu-ray when I was looking for
Hope they-
stuff. So
Hope we get a reboot.
maybe there's other episodes out there. I don't know.
We need a grimdark reboot, like a mini series on fucking Amazon Prime.
Let's do it. Watch party of the series
Do it.
later. There you go.
I'll be Toolbox.
Well,
How's it going, everyone?
Welcome everybody
Welcome in.
to Board Boosters post-mortem discussion of Defenders of Dynatron City.
Yeah.
Number
Yep.
2. Yes, Mirror ZC,
Cool.
the real ZC. Yeah, it's me. Good old Discord. Pilot was too much. No more episodes, please.
No more.
Yeah, okay. So this is only the second one of these that we've done, but there might be people here who haven't been to one of these before. So I guess we can do just really quick introductions. I'll go first. I'm Zero Counts. Speedrun a whole bunch of different games. I was not one of the people who came up with this group. I just sort of tagged along and said,
Just
please,
sort of here.
please let me help.
Please.
and here I am. But yeah, I'll let Bug go next.
Yeah, I'm Bug Doctor. I am Star Tropics speedrunner extraordinaire. That's basically the only good thing about me, though. Yeah, started this with and I came up with this idea a while back, and then Zarek thankfully kept pushing me to get started, and so together we got Board Boosters going. So yeah, here we are, and I'll pass it over to Zarek now.
Hey, folks, I'm Zarek. Obviously, the last one who didn't introduce himself yet. Yeah, another person right here at the beginning with the group. There's not much more to introduce other than that. I have the slowest Star Tropics time of the 3 people here. So we're ranking each other by Star Tropics times. I always get to eat last. So
Yeah. So Board Boosters. What are we? It's a group that tries to boost speedrun boards that don't have a whole lot of submissions to them. We take game suggestions from games that have roughly around 10 to 20 or less speedruns.
Yep.
This board had 2 runs on it before we
Two.
submitted to it.
Oko and some other person.
So you did a good job introducing Board Boosters there, Zero, because and I'm sure that other people in the chat have thought about this too. When you try to describe what Board Boosters is, it's really hard not to use term boost, the term speedrun, or the term game over and over again in the sentences.
It's
Because
difficult.
they overlap. Yeah,
It definitely requires a past knowledge or a knowledge base of what speedruns are in order to understand what the heck you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why you'll see. So folks can probably see on the side of the screen right now, it says Defenders of Dynatron City, August 2023. And under About Board Boosters, I tried to write that paragraph where it says the fewest duplicate words possible.
Boost board.
We boost boards with the Board Boosters.
Yeah.
All right. So we played a game called Defenders of Dynatron City this time around.
We sure did.
We sure did.
We played it.
It was an interesting play. Some people really enjoyed it. Some people didn't as much as others. But that's what we're here to talk about. The game was released by I always forget. They were Lucasfilms at the time, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Lucasfilms games. And it was supposed to be based on this cartoon that was supposed to come out but never did. The cartoon you saw at the very beginning was it. That was the pilot that they created, and it just didn't get picked up.
It's clearly the same Lucasfilm studio that worked on the Star Wars Christmas special.
Right. Yep. It must have been exactly the same. And yeah, I mean, it was released on the NES. I think it was 1990. I think I don't look that up. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it was 90
I think
or
it was
91.
90. But yeah, you play as these superheroes defending. Here we are with the definition problem again. Trying to save the people of Dynatron City. It plays mostly
Sometimes-
like an action like fighter, right?
Yeah.
With very little bits of platforming in it. But I guess the most interesting thing about it is that you have this plethora of characters that you can like choose from, right? And each one has their own special abilities and whatnot, and power meters and things like that. It was a very it was trying to be a fairly advanced game for the time, honestly. I think it was trying to do a lot of things. But we can get into whether or not it did it well or not as we talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything else to say about the game or?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's a messy little game, to be serious. But like as you're playing it, it's like you mentioned, right? Like there's a lot going on in it, and it basically needed some extra time in the fucking cooker. And like it just needed some stuff ironed out, like the horrible hitboxes, the strange like programming, and I feel like it could have been like a pretty like decent experience. Like it's pretty neat how you walk around this whole city, you go to these stores, like there's like this kind of open world aspect to it, and like you mentioned, even then like there's like the sections that are just like side scrolling, you know, like they almost reminds me of like kind of Battletoads ish, where it has like those, you know, it's got like the brawler sections, but they're not really brawlers,
right?
And then
Tries to do
it's
a few
got like
different
actual
things.
it's like an ambitious little game. It just it needed more attention is what it comes down to, and end result is not great, but like you can see
there's some stuff
some
that
cool
draws
stuff.
you in, because like it has this selection of characters that like are very unique in like their abilities, you know. You have your fast character, Megawatt, and you have like you have your burly characters like Jet Headstrong and Toolbox, you know. Ranged characters like
Jet Headstrong. Who's that? I don't remember using
we don't
him.
remember. I don't know who that is at all. Ranged characters and stuff. So they all have these like cool abilities, but it has a lot of soul.
In the game, you do end up using a lot of the different like characters for the things that they are strong at, right?
Yeah.
It's not like it was so broken using one character that we just stuck with that the whole time, right? You genuinely did have to use often your full suite, and you know, at times at the later part of the run, certainly I know my characters were dying, and I had to like make do with the ones I had left, right? And you know, we're gonna invite some guests in pretty soon, folks, who are gonna have their own ideas on this. But I do want to throw out that there were a lot of far more successful cartoons that got shittier games than this.
That's true.
Like the NES period was a weird period, right? You could get an NES game for Christmas and just would ruin your whole summer, right? It would just be terrible. Trying to make, you know, spend some time playing it. But there are games that like, you know, games like Totally Rad on the system that had this sort of like switch out your abilities and use different character types, which did it far better as well, right? So it's not the bottom of the barrel, but it's not the top.
So a lot of the things that we're talking about are honestly some of the things that make this a really interesting speedrun. Like I remember going into this game and being like I honestly think so. The first game we played was Dream World Pogi. Everybody knows Dream World Pogi, you know. But I honestly felt like
the Golden Boy.
In my personal opinion, I feel like Defenders of Dynatron City, and we can go into detail about this later, but I think it's a better speed run in terms of like what you have at your disposal and what you can do with it. Like there's so much jank in this game, but that means that you got a lot to play with, right? And that's why like a lot of these like old NES games like just end up getting completely like torn to shreds in the speed run, and that's basically what you're trying to do in this. It's fairly interesting.
I definitely agree. There's like so many options. and the fuck is this? There's
I don't know what that.
there's so many like options with respect to like how you can tackle situations, and like up until the end, people were talking about like, oh, like maybe we use stupid monkey in the sewers
Mm-hmm.
for the alligator. Like it was like these strats were being, whereas like Pokey, it's like run as fast as you can through.
Yeah, just
And,
get to
and
the
some
end
of the
level.
stages are like just hold, like you got a couple jumps, hold right after your 2 jumps, and then you're clear. Like
Yeah.
Pokey is don't get me
There
wrong,
he is.
Pokey was fun, but it was mindless.
Right.
It was like a mindless, like, oh, I can quickly restart this game, and it was fun to run because it was fucking addictive.
Yeah.
The thing about this game is you've got
Music was better too. To be clear, in Poggy, the music
That
was
is,
better.
yes, absolutely. Music in this game is shit. Um,
Yeah, we don't have
but,
we don't have the game music playing in the background right now.
Yeah.
I almost did
We
it,
just
but
thought
I
we'd
thought
save
people
you.
might leave.
But yeah, this has like way more flexibility in how you tackle situations, and it always makes you wonder, like, is it optimized?
Right.
Like, Pokey, I
Absolutely.
feel like we optimized. This one, like, I don't know. I feel like Jet Headstrong needs a shot somewhere.
Yeah. So I guess before we go into any more, I'd like to get the guests in here before we go into any deeper about the game. But let's just kind of quick talk about like where the game was before we launched into with the board boosters. I think we mentioned earlier there were two people on the board before. Bokonon, who was the previous world record holder, was the one who suggested the game. Which bravo, by the way. We mentioned this in the Discord, but like submitting the game that you're the world record holder in and being like, hey, come at me and take the record. Amazing. I loved it. Like, that was great. Yeah, we ended up submitting how many runs to it? 11, 12?
Like 10 or 11.
Like there were like, yeah. You can see down in the corner over there, all the people who submitted.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'd say the board was definitely boosted. And the world record was before was like a 1540 something, I believe. Boko can correct me if I'm wrong. And we dropped it all the way down to 1149, and I should say specifically Uchi dropped it down to an 1149.
And Chartcore.
And Chartcore.
They're neck and neck for a long time.
The amount of things that I mean, that's 4 minutes dropped, and like that's so significant. And there's still time out there, not a lot, but there's still some time out there to be saved in this game. It's wild, the things that were discovered and ways that just making the game's jank work for us as a speedrun was incredible, and a lot of that was Uchi and Chardcore, who came up with a lot of the strats that we started implementing near the end of the month. A month is not a long time to develop a speedrun, but they did it.
But that's the cool thing, amazing. Right? when you have people focused on a game, like a group focused on a game for that long, like even if it's a short amount of time, just the brainstorming between people, it's gonna help push shit down. And I think that's another cool aspect of board boosters.
It was exciting. Like
it's a good example of the founder of board boosters talking about how great the organization is.
Yeah, I did a damn good job. Yeah, no, that's really cool. I think is that people push these, like, and you see different people latch on. Like we had like Wyvern might still be playing Pogey for all I know, for whatever reason. And we had Uchi like really latch on this game. I think it's really cool to see people latch on to these different, like we've only done 2, but see people latch on different games.
It's real cool.
Hopefully that continues and more people come out of the woodwork, and depending on what games we have, that still more and more people come out and new people become sort of the front runners for different games.
Yeah. I resent the accuracy of that statement.
Sorry, Wyvern.
All right. So we have 2 guests that we invited to. Well, we invited 3 guests. Unfortunately, Chardcore is not able to join us for the discussion. But please keep in mind that she was an integral part to the success of this speed run, and so many of the things that were discovered. But we have the previous world record holder, Bokanon, who's in the chat there, and also Uchida, who is now the current world record holder of Defenders of Dynatron City that we invited to discuss the game with us today, and discuss their experience with the run and everything. So we can invite them in whenever. I noticed we're in the mod voice section. I don't know if they're able to pop in here or not. I don't know. I don't know if we need to be in the general.
Very well not be able to.
Oh, yeah.
If we have to, we can switch over to the general one.
True.
We'll just have to
Let's do that now.
All right, let's do that.
Okay.
Now.
Well, yeah.
The
We're
feed will go away for a little bit, but here we go. There we go. Hey. And we're back. Okay. So let's if Uchi and Bokanon are ready, they can hop in at any time.
Yep. Cannot see any voice.
Isn't that live?
The invites are out. The invites are out.
Okay.
So there's. But folks, if you're not getting them, oh, maybe they can't. We have to edit.
Oh yeah, didn't we have to mess around with this last
So
time?
while you're doing that, Bug, I'll fill folks in. So running a community Discord or running any sort of Discord with lots of people in it, when you are as disinterested in learning how Discord works as I am, and as skeptical as giving people the ability to like do anything as Bug Doctor is, it means we just went down and clicked all of the red buttons so no one can do anything. Exactly. And it means sometimes we got to come back to stuff like this to make sure that people can come in the proper channel so they can be a part of our discussion here.
Okay, they now have permission.
Heyo. See,
so hopefully they can enter.
Hey, there's Boko.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, welcome in.
Welcome, Boko.
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Hello.
How's it going?
Awesome. How are you guys?
Oh, not bad, not bad.
So before we get into any Defenders of Dynatron City questions,
there we go.
I think the first question I do want to ask is for you, Bokonon, because it's a question everyone's been asking all month. Your handle is Bokonon Lives, and the question I have, it's sort of like a three-parter. It is, who the fuck's Bokonon, and are we happy they're alive, or are we scared that they're alive?
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Wasn't expecting this one, but yeah. Okay. So, spoiler alert for a generations old book from Kurt Vonnegut. I'm not, and because this character is from a book, I'm not certain how to pronounce it. I've heard all manner of different. I've heard Bokonon. I've heard Bokanon. I tend to just say Bokanon, or I just tell people to go with Boko, which is just, I think we can all agree B-O-K-O would be Boko. But anyway, character from a book, sort of an enigmatic figure, maybe pseudo-benevolent cult leader type, and long story short here, Bokanon Living is in the context of what this book is about and the themes of the book and some of the darkness in it, I actually see this as a bit of a message of hope in dark and in the face of overwhelming darkness. Well, hey, Bokanon lives.
Compare and contrast that book with Defenders of Dynatron.
Yes. Well, of course, I was ready for this one, naturally.
So actually, sorry, I jumped in with a question trying to be funny, but we should actually give our folks an opportunity to introduce themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Boko's talked enough already. You wanted to give Uchi a chance?
Yeah,
you get the idea with me. Go ahead, Uchi.
Yeah, just make sure this is working.
Yep, here you.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so I'm Uchi, and yeah, I'm one of the early poor unfortunate souls that decided to tackle this game.
And Boko,
The,
you're
the,
up.
the undersell of the century.
You're welcome.
took the world record 4 minutes down, destroyed the game, and built it back up. It's like, yeah, I'm Uchi.
This was it ended up being a lot of fun to run, so I did enjoy running this game. It took a little bit to get into, but it's funny as Chardcore and I invested ourselves a lot more into this run. It just became so addictive. It was very hard. It was very hard to put it down with so much that we discovered.
Yeah, that was a huge thing. You and Chardcore like finding so much stuff and latching onto those strats and using that to drive the time down. Like, I'm sure was like that was kind of the most fun thing I thought to see was that progress. Like, oh, every day it's getting closer and closer to fucking sub 12. And holy shit. That was definitely like a really fun aspect for me anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have too much to work with to start off when we first had the run. So I had a sneaky look on the last day of July, and then I think the next few days after that, I didn't even pick up a controller to play the game. Right. It was just a case of finding what documentation was about. So there were some maps, there were some guides. There was the TAS. Actually, I had a look at the TAS after the first playthrough, and that's when it just started to formulate ideas, started to get more of a route together, and then after starting runs, Chardcore was in, and we were just bouncing ideas back and forth.
And Chardcore did the task, right?
Before this event even happened,
Yeah.
So the TAS, if I remember off the top of my head, it's a 10-3X.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a lot of great ideas in there, and we found after a while that some things RTA just weren't. They're just gonna have to be different to what the TAS suggested. So there were just a lot of unfeasible things with the TAS that we just couldn't reproduce. Probably the best example, hitboxes.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And it was one thing that Chardcore had to keep reminding me every now and then during runs is like, just don't think about the hitboxes. Like, just don't try to determine any logic with them. Just keep going. Just keep playing.
Right.
It's like, okay, then fine. We'll do that.
Yeah.
So we're in the early runs. So where the TAS run, you were just using Ms. Megawatt basically from beginning to end of the stage. We ended up swapping out to Buzzsaw Girl because Buzzsaw was just a lot more reliable, DPS wise, but also with movement DPS, and that's probably one of the powerful things that we discovered with this run, with how we could chunk down time so much, and it was basically movement DPS. That was the key factor.
Yeah, both Buzzsaw and also like Toolbox with the dinosaurs all jumping on the right side and like kind of like making progress while also damaging them. Like that's
I mean that's a perfect.
He moves slow, but it definitely like helps. So
that's like a perfect example of like using the jank. Is like
exactly.
It's really janky that it just does damage as many times, as long as you're in the hitbox, right? It just keeps hitting.
Yeah, and it's like,
but like, use that.
They think they only hit you on the left, right? Like if you're on the right half of them, they don't do damage at all.
Yeah, very strange.
It's like, okay, good
That was one of the great
very much.
discoveries.
You have to be on the right hand side of enemies to be able to hit them.
Yeah.
But another added factor with Toolbox, sorry to jump in, but another added factor with Toolbox is the unpredictable nature of his hitbox with attacks, and this was something that factored a bit further on. Well, actually, it was a bit with stage 2 with them all, but also later on there were potential strats with the factory, also a little bit with the sewers as well. With again more unpredictable hitboxes, the flying creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you jump right through them and nothing happens.
So something I really want to ask, Boko, is what drew you to this game? Like, you were one of 2 runners on this board before board boosters came around and tackled this thing. What drew you to this game originally? Like, do you have a history with this series? Did you watch this with your favorite breakfast cereal back in the day?
Did your dad make it?
I wish because the kind of Silver Age superhero charm of it all really does appeal to me. I love camp. I love cheesy, corny. Whether something is either just saccharine sweet or just over the top Excelsior. It's great. I love that feel, that culture, but no, I have virtually no history with this game. The why did I end up on this game board was purely as I was sort of discovering myself as a speedrunner. So we've talked a lot already about She's Shardcore and her incredible work with this run with the tasks. I had interacted with her before. I had watched her route many games before, live routing on stream, and that kind of, watching Shar do that to games that nobody knew, or at least that I didn't know, routing a game that no one had ever figured out how to play as fast as possible before, was kind of an eye-opener to me. Because when I was a baby speedrunner, speedrunning was, it's Super Mario Brothers. Everyone knows what you're supposed to do at this point. It's been routed, it's been solved, but it's just reaction. Can you do it? So I really discovered that, solving the puzzle, being the person to solve that puzzle is incredibly gratifying. And so I actually specifically sought out a game with 0 runners. Shout outs to Aaron2U2, who put together a list of all such games, which I think has circulated around, this Discord and many speedrunning circles for a while now. I actually poked around that list for a while, found this one, and of the games on this list, this was the first one that jumped out to me as like, I'm not hoping for a good game, but this, I load up this game. It has if not great, at least cheeky, music. Someone has put in some effort into the art and the character work. And I'm like, you know what? This might be the one. And I actually worked on this as a secret project. It was a dead board, literally 0 runs, 0 information on the speed run. All I had was an old GameFAQs walkthrough that I followed when I had to. And I made this my solo project to figure out a route for this game, submit a run, and then finally I released that. And then I knew as soon as Shar found out about it, I knew she was going to go ham. So that's why I wanted to do it by myself first. But she started working on the tasks. I helped out a bit, explaining what I had done in my RTA run. It was really cool going to town on this game, bringing that first time down. It was everything that I wanted in speedrunning, going from scratch.
Right.
To what I thought was a decent place for the run, given that there was nobody else there.
Yep.
And then just giving it to board boosters was at that point like, hey, go to town, and if I can help, I'll help.
That's honestly, like, I know a lot of other speedrunners who do the same thing, who just want to look for, like, I mean, that's kind of where this board boosters idea sort of came from, right? It's like looking for these games that just don't have like any representation, or finding games that have very little representation and like are really good speedruns that people should really know about, but like taking on that like goal of like, hey, I'm going to take this game and I'm going to learn how to run it and try to get the fastest time without any resources. That's a really daunting task. And especially, like, I mean, anybody who's played Defenders of Dynatron City, like, bravo to you, Boko. Like, that's amazing.
Thank you. And for the record, I tried my best to warn people that this is not the most friendly game to go in blind. I tried to hint very strongly that, watching my run or reading my guide might be a better introduction than going in blind,
Yeah, I'm glad you
for
said
for
that.
people's sanity.
I'm glad you
Well,
said
so
that. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Zarek.
I do want to mention. So, both of you two that we have here on the show, and Shar, who we've mentioned several times, and I do want to say, we've mentioned her a few times now. If folks don't know, She's Chardcore has like like
6,000 plus.
5,000 runs.
6,000
Yeah,
plus, yeah.
6,000
Yes.
plus runs on speedrun.com. Potentially the most runs of anybody.
Probably.
I don't have that confirmed. They used to have more of that kind of info on the
Yeah.
website, but the resources that she put together and the resources that both of you put together for this were incredibly helpful for people to be able to pick up the game at all, right? And Boko, not only did you suggest the game, but like the day we picked it when we spanned the wheel last time, you like jumped on and did a video. I think it was that next day or the day or that same
I think
day.
you're right. I was so excited.
You made like you were very excited. Obviously, you like made a video of like going through the run and like what to do, and then Uchi followed up with like a very extensive guide, and then like a more succinct guide, which everyone really appreciated.
Yeah, some might have said it might have been a little bit too extensive, but anyway.
Yes. The intro to Uchi's
Thank you,
shorter
yeah.
version was incredible.
Beautiful.
I just want to make a quick comment. So when it comes to making guides, like making guides is not an easy thing to do.
Oh no.
Especially if you're making a live guide. And this was something that I learned earlier this year, making a guide for Kid Dracula on the JP version on Game Boy.
Cool.
And yeah, going from a live guide and then to make one basically offline, it is just you have so much more control with what you can do with your content offline to make such a succinct guide. I mean, even though that other guide that I made is about 5 minutes or something like that, it probably still took me a good course of a couple of hours to get everything right.
Right.
Especially rehearsing all that dialogue. God, that took forever.
Well, I know a lot of
But
people use those for the.
It's very
for their
appreciated,
runs.
yeah.
Like it's.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it would have been as successful as it was if those weren't created. Both of your walkthroughs, like, so thank you both.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things we talked a lot about different aspects of what Board Boosters does for a game, but one of the things is that now there are resources for this game, right? Like the work that you were talking about, Boko, like making the run, building the route. Like now, if people want to come to this game, we could get them to a hospital, but we could also like show them the tools if they're really persistent, right? Like.
Oh, I love that. But no, you're right. This is I speaking of, so yes, I was the previous world record holder. I'm also the mod for this board. I mean, now one of three, but I'm the admin for the board. This is still very much a board that I don't. It's not ownership, but it's like I feel such a connection to it. It's like this is like my baby. And now there are 13 people on this board and all these resources. It's like this is more than I ever thought I would see. This, I only picked this game up last year and we're already at this state. So the effect that Board Boosters has had on this board that I know this has been a very polarizing game, but truly, like unironically, this game and this board have been very significant to me, and this board that you all helped boost get into this state, this has really been so important to me. This has been an absolutely incredible feeling for all of the reasons that you've touched on. That new people can now come in and have a good starting point. That I don't know. It was all I could think about all month. It was really, really awesome to see, and just the effort that people, all the work that you all did, Uchi, looking at you as well, and on your overlay and everybody incorporating the silly character names and the emotes and the pictures and that lovely cartoon pilot, the comics. It's just felt great because that what you talked about making the jank work for you. To me, a lot of speedrunning is taking a game that, as you were saying, was very ambitious, had all this potential. I see this as kind of unlocking the good game that there's just an ember of somewhere down there in the middle of this game that is unapproachable for any sane person. But by forcing people to go at it and attack it the way that we did, there's something there. And I'm glad people got into the spirit of it.
Yeah, something that I mentioned a couple times, like on my stream when I played it. It would have been actually cool to see this franchise somewhat succeed, because I feel like future games, you could have had like a really cool like beat 'em up and stuff with like these characters all having different abilities, and like, or even something like, I picture it almost like an N64 style, like Donkey Kong 64 thing.
Yeah.
Like all the characters, and they've got their different abilities that let them access all these different, like there's a lot of potential in this franchise that unfortunately never got tapped. And it would have been cool to see that, but alas, some parallel universe out there, I guess, probably has that. Not this one.
Yeah, the NES games were a crapshoot, man, and these people, I think, had not only a few good ideas. I think they had a lot of good ideas. Personally, in my opinion, it's just the things that in modern game development that we all know that you should focus on to make the very first building blocks that make your game playable at all were not on their mind. They were worried about, oh no, if you don't have human legs and feet, you can't climb ladders in the sewers.
Right.
I'm really glad they added that, but
my immersion.
time perhaps better spent elsewhere. But it's those little details that make it so charming to me, though.
There's a lot of charm to it, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
is there anything more that we want to go that you folks want to go over before we move on to the video of the run?
I guess I have a question, and maybe this is also like to chat. So now that we've kind of driven Dynatron City down in time, driven Pogi down in time, is anyone like Uchi? Are you planning on like submitting this to a marathon or anything coming up, or? I feel like it's kind of risky, right? Because if any one thing goes wrong, it kind of messes up the entire run. But I just kind of wondered if, like, I feel like we're making a lot of headway on our subjects.
absolutely.
I just wondered if that's something that's ever crossed our minds.
I wouldn't rule it out. I
Yeah.
think there's an opportunity to be able to bring this into a marathon setting, and I think there are strats that you can use that can be somewhat marathon safe, and there are adequate backups along the way as well. I mean, it's something that we haven't really talked too much about backup strats and things that can change along the way. But I think we sort of touched on that earlier on. I think it was Zarek that mentioned that as you go further through the game, the factory is a really good example of this, where if you lose a character, at least you have another one that can come in as a backup. So I think that happened with a lot of people's runs, where you'd be going to the factory with Buzzsaw Girl, and most likely you would lose Buzzsaw Girl by the time you got to the third room with the Buzzsaw bots. So then you'd normally have to resort to Radium Dog to get you the rest of the way through, which was not a bad failsafe. So I think there's opportunity to make that happen. For me personally, it's finding time. That's
for sure.
That's one thing that's a little bit limited, but I could see this being run for sure.
Yeah, cool.
Well, that would be amazing. Anybody who's run, who runs any of these games, it's keep in mind it's not just for board boosters. Go out, and if you like the game, submit it, show it to the world. And when you're looking and seeing a game run in a marathon, and you're like, oh, I want to kind of check this out. And you look at the board. It's sad but true. But if you look at the board and there's like 2 people on it, that can be a turnoff for a lot of people. Like, oh man, maybe not. But with board boosters boosting the board like this, you see so many people, you're like, oh, maybe there's something here. Maybe I should learn this. So
I will say, and I'm not speaking for the mod group here, but if anyone in Board Boosters takes one of these games that we do and goes in a marathon, I will spam it until everybody commits to watching and
Yeah.
and being around for that run, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's just the next extension of what we're doing, really.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So I think now's a good time. We're going to transition into watching the world record run of this game that resulted over the course of the month of August. So I'm gonna pop that up.
Get your popcorn.
Get your popcorn out. Yeah. So this is Uchi's run of Defenders of Dynatron City. So sit back and enjoy. And everybody in the Discord here, feel free to talk over it and give your thoughts and everything. And yeah. So here we go.
I'm just glad we didn't end up using
What was that?
We didn't what emote?
we didn't end up using the monkey.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
very glad.
All right, here we go. Oh, I gotta share my screen. Hang on.
You got to give the monkey credit though. He's very good at picking up comic books.
That is true.
He's good. He's good. All right. If you watch that one there, you'll be good to go. All right, here we go.
I love how many people ended up saying the same thing. Hi, monkey. Bye, monkey.
Right. Now this music. Did you Uchi? Did you?
I recorded that. Yes,
That's awesome.
I normally do.
You
that.
recorded
I normally
that?
do that. Yep. I will normally
One in four
do a
chance.
little musical ditty before one of my videos.
No, they're terrible.
I do have to
It's
say
not- okay,
the level of work
realistically,
you
I
put
don't
into
think it's
your
actually one in four.
overlay and fine details like that, it
Yeah.
puts other people's streams to shame. My stream included. Like it's so cool. Like I'm always looking around on your stream and like, oh, that's from the game. Like I remember that. Like you put a lot of work into building it all, right? It's really cool.
Yes. And that's awesome. Yeah.
I had a bit too much fun,
Possibly,
but it was fun to do the recolors of
all
all these images from the comics and so forth.
So
For those that were around the stream as well, they would have noticed that I did have a bit of a what we call the Matildas layout, which is the Australian women's soccer team.
That was the best.
Cash.
They had such a successful World Cup, and I decided
But yeah,
after that,
realistically, it's a
we'll keep the
50%
till it's
chance they'll
done
get it.
because I wanted to make sure that this was done.
It's more of an optimistic way to look at it.
So right now you're talking about before the
Let's-
run
let's be
started. You're talking
realistic.
about
It's not the best chance to pick up.
the ability to pick up the power up, not in the beauty parlor, right? At the beginning of the run.
Yep. So in the background of this first street,
Maybe
you
go
can
to
see
the
there's
beauty parlour,
the
have a 100%
headquarters.
chance.
So you can go in there. There's a 1 in 4 chance of getting a power up. But yeah, after a while, I got sick of trying to pick it up. That was actually one mistake that I made in this run as well, trying to get into the
Way
beauty
ahead
parlor
of
a bit too
myself there.
soon.
Maybe I'm starting to fade
Yeah, that was
a
something we learned really late in the run, during the month. I think was like
Yeah. It was
the
like
the possibility of like just power ups being randomized throughout the map, and in places that might be better off than the places where you are guaranteed to pick them up.
bit. Drugs.
Yeah. I think it was like 5 days
Puzzle.
before the month ended or something. Like it was,
Come on, smash
yeah,
me.
like right near the end.
Yeah, it just
Which is
randomly.
really interesting
It really
because
it had randomly
That-
happened
Nice.
during
Okay.
my casual play at the beginning of the month, and I just didn't really think too much about it.
Yeah.
You might notice as well that some of these doorways I don't actually enter. So sometimes I might jump through a window because hitboxes.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. So in the beginning of the month, like when you start playing this game, it does feel like the robots at the first part of the game that jump are like the most aggressive or the most destructive enemies that you have to be really careful with. But when you're actually like learning the speed run, it's just the ones that walk. Those
Yeah.
are far more frustrating actually to
Yeah, 'cause they're not
getting a good run.
consistent.
Facts.
Yeah.
It's a combination of walkers and flybots. Flybots can sometimes be problematic too.
Yeah, I mean, we did like what you're doing here with the flybots is amazing as you go, but when you're just killing them as they spawn onto the screen, it become in some parts trivial compared to the rest of them, though.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's pretty much. I mean, that's what we're always trying to do. Just trying to find ways we can make sections just almost non-existent. This bit was a little bit tricky to navigate with the jumpers, but the strat that I ended up having, well, the strat I ended up using because there were 8 jumpers was just to keep progressing to the left, have one jump past, so then so you could take one out from the left side and the right side. So where
Standard run
these
of
enemies spawn in depends what side they come from. So one always starts from a left location, one from a right location. This street's probably a bit different where we can manipulate location where they always come from the left side because we're simply positioned too far to the right. So that was one little refinement that I made on, I think this is A Street. I think this is A Street.
12.
Something that was kind of interesting towards the start was, I feel like the Buzzsaw Girl / Miss Megawatt decision for the streets. It's obviously Miss Megawatt can bolt like from one entrance to the other, but like just like the more consistent hitboxes and like faster firing rate on Buzzsaw is just like
13.
it's such a game changer compared to Megawatt. And I remember like watching Zero Count see was streaming at one point, and I was just like, and I remember being like, I wonder if Buzzsaw Girl would be better like in the streets, like if you like could just position yourself at the proper entrances,
Right.
like overall. I mean,
Yeah, and early on, it
yeah,
just
you
seemed
say
like,
that.
no way, because you run so fast.
Yeah, and then it was so you're so quick with but yeah, it ends up being like
I think
he's a good mix of them.
I think the TAS does. Correct me if I'm wrong, but does the TAS use Megawatt for all of it? Because you don't.
This is all megawatt in this section.
Because you don't have to worry about missing.
Yeah,
It's it's worth saying that the task was created before all of the new strats from board boosters
That's
came
true.
around. But I would still hazard a guess that if the task were to be recreated optimally today, it would still use megawatt everywhere in the streets.
Yeah.
So it's really an RTA friendliness decision to go with Buzzsaw. But
yeah, absolutely.
by using these incredibly optimal strats here of kind of moving the fight in the direction that you want to end up, you don't actually have to run as far to get to your exit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
it's also worth saying that that like Uchi's like landing so many more hits than most of us could have dreamt of. Like it's like like there's not a lot of misses in this run, right? And like the level of patience that it takes to get to the point where you like just know sort of like where things have to be, and then to like play enough that you're landing all the hits as well. It's incredible.
I'd just like to comment on the lovely fiber barn arm in the background here.
Strong.
Rippling muscles.
Oh, I just want to talk about these strats here in the Mega Mall. I would guess that everyone here who played this game, who made it, finally beat the streets for the first time, made it into the Mega Mall, died roughly instantly.
Yeah.
To trivialize this to the point where, you know, Uchi's taking this a little bit spicy, which is great for speed, but only slightly modified from the ultimate safe stress. You can get through here taking literally 0 damage on these RoboStars.
It's something that I mentioned, especially when I would watch other people run the game later on in the month. I was like, you know, you want to be careful in the mall and maybe not do the world record strats in the mall, because it really, it's the difference between instant death and guaranteed win. You know what I mean? Like there are ways to do them all where like you just won't get hit. You know.
and like even with what's this fucking thing called? Adam Ed.
Adam Ed,
the
like,
floating head.
And it's like a one hit. Like if you misplace like your character and you take one hit from him, that character's toast. Like it's like a one hit kill, is it not?
Yeah, it's effectively the same thing with using Toolbox, hitting those Robosaurs almost every frame. That's kind of what happens to you if that laser fires from inside of his head.
Oh, I see.
It's basically a lack of iframes on whoever you're controlling. So whoever you're playing has no iframes. All the enemies do, which can explain some like staggering of attacks sometimes, especially Factory with Buzzsaw.
Right.
Something I want to point out here in the go ahead, Zarek.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, something that we speaking of like strats that came out way later, I feel was using the ladders on the flying rats. Like like so many people were like trying to learn how to like, myself included, trying to like shoot the bolts like up or whatever, and like it's really difficult to get to both aim and also do it consistently. And it's like, wait a minute, like we can just climb up the ladder and like not have to worry about missing.
Why work harder?
Just very quickly, for those that aren't familiar with this, with shooting upward, it's not just a simple case of holding up and shoot. You actually have to, you have to hold up, release the button, and in a few frames, fire in order to fire your projectiles
It has
up.
to be a mistake in the coding. Like I don't think it was intended. I think they just missed it, honestly. Like they like
such a small frame window. It's crazy.
But those coders were busy making sure that the shops that don't allow dogs, Radium Dog cannot enter.
Yes.
That's actually a detail? I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
There's at least one or two. I think maybe the dog can't go in the hospital. I think.
I do want to jump in on this like level of detail thing because there's so many things about this game. Like, not only does each character have a really unique ability, but you can also upgrade all of their abilities, right? Like by getting items in the game. There's so much going to like. You think about like other similar things where like we'd already talked about Totally Rad. You know, A Boy and His Blob, which is a really weird game, but you have like all of these different friggin' abilities.
Yeah.
But one thing in this game is that they have all of that and like all of these weird details, you know, the ladders and stuff like that. But every time you beat a major boss, you get a supercharger. And the only time that we ever ended up using it was on the last boss, and we had to use it to kill the last boss. I don't even understand why it's really a part of the game.
Yeah, you don't
just
need to use
having
them.
that part be a part of the last boss fight. Right?
You don't need to use them in the last boss, but it quadruples your attack damage and makes you invincible. So like, I mean, it's kind of a.
Yeah, I feel like you almost have to, unless you're like, I guess unless you find a sweet spot where you can't hit you.
It just takes forever.
Like,
I mean,
if
if you're using Radium Dog, you can stun lock the boss, and you can go with low percent strats and just stand there, just chomping away. But it's something I think Chardcore was saying was over 100 chomps to do that.
Yeah.
I just want to ask a question before we leave the sewers. The mention of the so-called flying rat enemies. I'm very curious what everyone on the call and in chat, what everyone thinks independently those animals are. Because I've heard rats, I've heard birds, and I've heard dragons.
Yeah.
Have you heard bats before?
That's new, but that makes sense. That makes sense to me.
That's what I thought they were originally, but then I was like, I don't know.
Rats.
Do bats make sense in a sewer? I've never heard of that before.
No.
Do flying rats?
So I originally called them flying rats, but then thinking back to the lore with this, I was wondering if they're oversized flying fleas. Because at the end of the pilot episode, Dr. Mayhem's in the sewers and he's assembling his next army, which thank goodness we never see. And there are all these mutated fleas, and in fact, there are mutated fleas in the comic series in the fifth issue.
Yeah, that's something we forgot to mention.
That's some deep lore. Yeah.
I wonder if someone maybe drew a mutated flea as concept art, and then maybe somebody misinterpreted it and made the sprite something slightly different.
Just as far as the world record run goes that we're watching right now, Uchi, was this a really lucky pattern you got, or were you forcing the bots to go in that like they were dancing at the same time, doing the same stuff?
It became a manipulated pattern after a while. So, and I think that was something that Chardcore and I found with different sections, with all three sections. So we could move to certain points to essentially figure out a rhythms to where the bots were moving to be able to get them into an adequate position. So the hardest thing about that was to take Buzzsaw Girl from the beginning to the end. But should watch this bit now. The car strats. These were the best ones that Chardcore really fleshed out fully.
I like the I didn't realize this. I like the like flying and biting and moving towards the next car at the same time, like as a like to make up for like missing that first car. I even like didn't even think about like biting while flying with Radium Dog.
Yeah, the first shield's the hardest one because it
done.
It does take a lot more damage to get through. I think it's with the supercharger it's like 21 21 HP to work through, and then after that all the other shields I think are like 11 HP each using the supercharger. But yeah, I mean, if you want to see
Oh,
someone
so
do
worried after
do
that
those
first
really well,
card.
Chardcore just
Anyway,
she
we
does
got
them
it.
fluently so many
11.9.
times.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you for the GGs. Chardcore.
Yeah,
Beat Zero.
during those car sections, I actually like had found a way to
Nico.
like
Button
guarantee those hits as long as your inputs are the same every single time. Like, there's ways to
Yeah.
make those cars like just do exactly what you want them to do. It's
Oh my
it's
goodness.
incredible.
Chrissy. Hello,
Those
welcome
cars.
in. And thank you so much for the
Yeah,
follow.
but I
I
found a
mean,
use for them.
Subs.
That's
Chardcore
like
to-
that's really awesome.
The final chapter of the game used to be so dreadfully boring. You used to just sit there and hold the B button, and now it actually became exciting and climactic.
Run this game.
I
Just to-
really blown away with what has been done to this game. A dog throws a car at the final boss 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, so GG's on that run. I mean, like
Yeah,
I said,
for sure.
it was
GGs.
incredibly exciting over the course of the month, just seeing that thing. Like, there were so many times where I'm like, I think I said this for Pogi, but like for this run too, it was just like, I was like, we're done, right? Like, we've pushed it as far as we can, right? No, absolutely not. There's just always, it was just kept going. And like, I those splits at the end too, like, I think you even mentioned after the run was over, like it wasn't the best boss. Like, there were a couple seconds there. There were a couple seconds in, in the Protocola factory that were lost. Like, there's still time.
Thing.
But
Yeah, you
But make no mistake,
Oh yeah, yeah.
that was to earn.
oh, absolutely.
But
to earn,
I do-
indeed.
I mean, I do have to wonder, like, Uchi, when you watch that back and you see yourself like try to go in the beauty parlor right at the beginning of the run, and this is a question about like all speed runs, really. Like, this is your best time ever, and you just like wait there trying to get in the beauty parlor, pushing up. Like, do you look at that and be like, I got to do another run?
Yeah.
Not immediately, but I wouldn't be surprised if I come back to this run at some point in the future.
Absolutely.
but-
Beautiful.
But when we were first working on this run, we were just getting an idea of how we could drive down the time, and initially we just thought, I think a few of us just thought, sub 13, that's going to be the goal. And then as more was being discovered, and we could see how much further we could push past it, and just some of bests, just really depreciating. It just became very shortly after that, well, sub 12. It's got to happen, and and it did. That time is beatable. I mean, that 11:49 is beatable. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a bit more discovered, if it could get to an 11:3x, but
Mhm.
at this stage, not desperate to do that.
What we need to find is the hitbox consistency. I feel like it'd be interesting just to see how much time is actually lost from missed shots just because
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
game decides
Have to
not
redo the
be
task for sure.
a lot.
And just see what,
It is worth mentioning that your world record is like 30 seconds faster than even the next time, right? Like, it's a really incredible run, right? So yeah, we're talking about more time to save, more to do, but it is like just in itself, like,
That's
just looking at it right now, this isn't. It's not like, oh, this is just what we have for now. Like, it's a really good run.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
very
but,
impressive,
look,
for sure.
but as I mentioned to Chardcore as well, I believe she could beat her 12:20. I believe she could get a much lower time, and I mean, there's so much information out there now. There's nothing stopping anyone from trying to get a lower time, or except maybe the hit boxes. But
Right.
But
I think the thing stopping them is they'd have to play this game.
this is something I didn't brush on before, but I wanted to talk about is that, like, it's unfortunate that the streets are the first thing that it throws you into as a speed run, because I honestly think that that is the most frustrating stage. Everything else, there's sort of like these ways of manipulating what's going on and like making the game work for you, or the jank work for you, like I said before. Like,
Yeah.
but the streets, it's just a, your teeth are barred. The whole, like, you're just trying to get through there. Like, every miss is just super frustrating. You don't really get that as often in any of the other stages, really.
No, definitely not.
I think the most unfortunate thing about the streets now, previously it was about a third of a run, now it's about 40 to 45% of a run.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
But yeah, it was very easy to just like try to work out how to get through the streets quickly and just get frustrated. Like,
Yeah.
how do I do this? How do I get through this without losing a life? Like,
It makes sense because the streets are also where you can explore the city and go into the shops and get
Right.
items.
Yep.
But then, okay, make it shorter.
Yeah.
Or really, possibly the most friendly level to go first might have been the sewers. I don't think the sewers are that bad.
No, not too bad.
No, they're not really. No.
I'd probably say the streets and the sewers are almost on par with each other, and it's mainly because the amount of streets and avenues that you have, they are an uneven amount. So all of your streets are running vertically, and all of your avenues are running horizontally. And so normally you'd think, okay, there's overall 10 roads that I've got to take. So I've just got to, just move in 10 directions. But because you've got 4 that are running in one direction and 6 that are running in another direction, it completely changes the way that we have to think and route out the most efficient way to be able to get through sections. And then add on top of that, and I think this is where it adds that small layer of difficulty on the streets, the fact that you have to plan out, where am I going to be picking up my items? Where am I picking up my power-ups? Because you have to pick up those power-ups for your characters, with the exception of when you pick up the comic book, because that's already incorporated into Radium Dog when you trade out Monkey Kid. But if you decide not to pick up a power-up item, when you go to enter the sewers, the game won't let you progress any further.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden it's like, nope, you can't go through until everyone has a power-up. Get back in the streets and get an item.
It's a big problem with conveyance and perhaps logic in this game sometimes.
Yeah.
What do you mean logic? Yeah. They don't let Buzzsaw Girl go up ladders. There's plenty of logic in this game.
Makes perfect sense.
That's why she can jump.
This has been a really great discussion. That so much information has been coming out of this, and I thank both Boko and Uchi for answering so many questions. I honestly didn't think we would go longer than the Pogi one. Honestly, like I just this is great. This has been very eye opening. Are there any other questions? I guess Bugs, Eric, that we want to ask? But we got a wheel to spin.
Yeah, no, I would love to spend the rest of my evening talking about Defenders of Dynatron City, but I know that so many people are sitting in chat being like, I just want to spin the fucking wheel, And we should probably let them do that.
All right. Well, Boko, Uchi, thank you both very much. Boko, thanks for suggesting this game and helping out, and Uchi, thank you very much for everything you contributed during this month and pushing this time down and assisting everybody else who was picking this game up. It was a lot of fun. I had a good time with it, and I hope everybody's enjoyed this discussion.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on the postmortem. It's been awesome talking to both of you.
Thank you so much, and spin that wheel.
Yep, absolute pleasure, and looking forward to seeing what the next game is going to be.
Cool.
Right. Thank you. All right. Let's pull up the wheel.
Oh,
Let's see here. Oh baby. Let's go. There it is. The wheel. Okay, so
it's beautiful.
So if anybody is not aware, the wheel this time has been populated specifically with suggestions that were for spooky month, because the month is going to be October for this next board boost. So we took a subset of suggestions that were just from spooky games. Whatever your qualifier is for spooky, we took that into
one
consideration.
single ghost.
It has to be. So Bug Doctor did make a ruling that it has to be 75% spooky.
Yeah.
I think so.
And that was like because Lola was like, "Oh, there's like a spooky section in Boomerang Kid and Quattro Adventure." It's like, okay, well that's like one fraction
There's a
of
graveyard.
one game in a cart that has 4 games in it. So I was like, that doesn't fucking count. It's got to be like primarily spooky. Yeah.
So so the way we'll do this is same as last time. We're gonna spin the wheel for the person who made the suggestion, and then if they suggested multiple games, we will spin for the games as well.
Yep.
If anybody, if either you, Bug, or Zarek can look at the list of the games in case that happens, that'd be great because I don't have that up right now.
Yep.
But anyway, here we go. I'll spin the wheel.
With bated breath.
Oh, look at that. Muta Shadow.
Oh.
MWDA
Oh, that's-
Shadow.
It's just the one.
Is it just
no,
one?
No, he's got two, doesn't
He's
he?
got two?
He's got Manos and also Oregon Trail, right?
Oh, is that okay? Well, I don't know. I don't have
Pretty
it
sure
up.
it's-
Somebody looking?
Okay, so the two games that are going to be that we have to spin now are. I'm scrolling. Okay, it is. I don't. Okay, is this listed as
Yeah,
Shadow? sorry.
Manos.
Okay, Manos: The Hands of Fate, and Oregon Trail, PC and other systems. We should probably pick one, but yes.
Oregon Trail.
Folks at home, I said to the group here before this was happening, I seen the movie Manos: The Hands of Fate, and it is not a good movie, but I was assured that the game is more playable than the movie is watchable. So.
Yes. All right. Here we go. Wheel. Let's spin it. Oregon Trail is the game.
Oregon Trail. Oh baby.
All right.
Okay.
That's kind of.
The October game is going to be Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail. All right. I don't know much about Oregon Trail in terms of speedrun. I don't know what is out there. I don't know what the board looks like, but we're gonna find out, all of us together. So there is already a current boost section created in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord and you want to join in on this, or you want to just watch other people learn this game over the course of October, hop in. If you have any thoughts on the game, or you know of any pieces of information that we can help learn us this speed run, feel free to post them in there. But that's it.
So,
that's the game.
Just a quick question to Shadow in the chat. This is listed as Oregon Trail Director's Cut on speedrun.com. Is that correct? And Shadow can answer here in a second.
I feel like that has to be. That's what's coming up on SRC. And there are 6 runs for 80%, and then 6 runs for 80% no DLC. So I wonder if. Interesting. No DLC is longer.
Somehow it's longer, yeah.
That
The
seems
DLC must make you go faster.
fucking backwards.
But okay, yeah. So that's one thing. So before we wrap things up and jump into our month of Oregon Trail, it is worth mentioning that for folks at home that we will, moving forward, be taking a look at a different selection process for our games. So you may or may not see that spinning wheel again in the future. But we will have more information of that in the months to come here. So it's not something that that we need to dwell on too much right now. But we did want to throw it out there so that folks were aware that that was coming in the next couple months.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been an awesome discussion. I had a really good time. Like I said, I was expecting this to be about 45 minutes like last time, but we went for over an hour, which is amazing. Thanks again to Uchi and Boko for hopping in, and thank you to everybody who ran the game over the course of August and helped boost that board. Yeah, like the chart says, we increased the number of runners by over 1,000%. So that's nuts. That's crazy. There were some.
Thanks to everybody who ran the game as well, and everybody in chat, everyone who's participated in the group. in the Discord, in making memes, all of it. Right? It
Yeah.
makes it all worth doing.
Yes.
It's nice to see it become like a little celebration, kind of.
Yeah.
And like Bogo said, it's fun for the suggester as well to see it kind of take a new spin on it. So
Yeah. I'm excited to see where we take Oregon Trail. So
Yeah,
like I
sure.
said, if you're not in the Discord, hop in. You can either spectate or participate. But any and all are welcome.
Yep, for sure. Unless you're a troll, say the fuck it.
Yeah. So
Or black.
We've got a lot of trolls already, so
It's true.
it's funny. Some of them made game suggestions. So we can't raid because Twitch is dumb like that.
Too baby.
I think we're too baby. But if there's some, does anybody have any suggestions on some place for us to go? We can at least send people there. We can do like a fake raid.
Fake raid.
Yeah, fake raid.
well, I mean, let's see here. Jim Jam is doing Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, he's going for a sub 5.
Pretty
Super Mario
exciting.
Brothers. Blech. Too many people run that. Blech.
We should suggest that for board boosters.
Yeah, no, I'm cool with.
Go.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool.
All right,
with
we'll
going
go
to
Jim Jam. That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, so that's where we're gonna go next. Somebody can Jamboree.
Please.
Okay. Let's see.
There we go.
There you go. Thanks.
Yeah, so let's go jump in and say hi to Jim Jam, who is doing who is a part of is in the group, in the Discord.
Yeah,
I
so.
think. And yeah, we'll go say hi while they're doing some Super Mario Brothers 1.
All right.
Yep, sure.
We'll go over to the end screen now, but thank everybody for hanging out, and yeah, we'll see you in the Discord.
Thanks for joining us for another post-mortem, and yeah, we'll see you later.
See ya.